Hello and welcome to another episode of the Hellion Rebellion Rock and Roll Association, brought to you by your ward of the mutated universe, Holly Geist. Um, I got a request, and I have to honor these requests. There's a profile I follow on Facebook that goes by the name of Tony Cool. I have no doubt his name is Tony. I have no doubt the man is cool. I seriously doubt his name is actually Tony Cool, though. I follow this individual because he is really into a lot of the music from the 40s and the 50s. He loves the Rat Pack. He loves like Torch songs. He loves the Louis Armstrongs and the Dizzy Gillespies and the Harry James of the world. So I follow his profile. Well, he wants me to play a song from probably the greatest singer of the 20th century, easily in the top 30, top 5. Old Blue Eyes, chairman of the board, Frank Sinatra. And, last week we were grinding the night away with Total Fucking Destruction. And this week we're going to do Frank Sinatra. So this is an eclectic show. Everything awesome, everything music, everything rock and roll. The song he wanted me to play is called Summer Wind. I have 3 greatest hits recordings from Old Blue Eyes, and they're all very cheap CDs that you pick these CDs up at truck stops or department stores, and I really do need to get some official legit records from this guy, but this is what I have. And out of all those CDs, Summer Wind is not on any of them, which I was kind of shocked. It's been a while since I listened to some Frank. Summer Wind is an amazing, beautiful song. I thought that was one of the huge hits. Maybe it's like in the 80 percentile. I don't know. So I'm gonna play a song that I've always loved from Frank. But before we get started, no moments of silence on this one. But let's talk about Frank. Frank gets started in. Oh God, he hails from Hoboken, New Jersey. He would start his singing career in the early 1940s, 1942, 43, 44. He would move on to the early 1970s, in which he would retire. And I think he only retired 2, 3 years, something like that. By the late 1970s, he would come back out with some new material, and New York, New York was the really big song that he came out with in the early 80s. He was a part of what's known as the Rat Pack. The Rat Pack were a group of artists, mostly actors and musicians, singers for the most part, in the late 1940s, early 1950s, somewhere in there. But as far as the music's concerned, the Rat Pack consisted of Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr., and Joey Bishop. And there was another one. There was a fifth. Joey Bishop and Frank Sinatra had a falling out, and I don't know if Joey Bishop got kicked out of the Rat Pack or if he left on his own accord. But he was replaced by Peter. Oh man, Peter Lawler, Peter Lilly, Peter Lawford, Lawford, Lawler or Lawford. It's one of those. Um, I will admit Joey Bishop and Peter Lawler, Peter Lawford are the two that I really don't know. I grew up my entire life being a Dean Martin guy. My grandmother was huge into Dean Martin, and I have listened to Dean Martin my whole life. But when it comes to Dean and Frank, it ebbs, and there's time. There's 6 months I'm a Frank Sinatra guy, 6 months that I'm a Dean Martin guy. Those are my two. I did talk to a woman, I don't know, 8 months ago, a year ago, probably not a year ago. We were talking about music that our grandparents listened to, and of course the Rat Pack came up, and she was, oh yeah, I grew up on Frank. I listen to Frank all the time, and but she was a Joey Bishop fan. I vividly remember saying, I think you're the first person I've ever heard say that they like Joey Bishop over Dean Martin or Sammy Davis Jr. I thought that was interesting. Anyway, so Frank Sinatra shows back up in the late 70s, early 1980s. This is where I'm starting to pay attention to the world. I'm at an age where I'm fortunate enough to have seen Frank Sinatra. When I say seen, I mean on TV. I didn't actually go see him. But I remember seeing him in interviews. I remember seeing him at the Grammys, those sorts of things. And he was a very charismatic entertainer. He would pass in the late 90s, and it's one of the few times that he had so much respect in the city of New York that the Empire State Building would turn off all of its lights and just went black for a day. So, the song I'm going to play for you, I'm sorry, Tony Cool, I don't have Summer Wind. I thought I did. But one of my top 5 favorite Frank Sinatra songs is a song called Witchcraft. And if it's not my favorite, though, 17 is a really good one. It's going to be between 17 and Witchcraft are my two favorites. So let's go ahead and listen to one of the greatest voices of the 20th century. Let's turn on the boombox. There it is. There we go.
Those fingers in my hair, that sly come hither stare, that strips my conscience bare, it's witchcraft. And I've got no defense for it, the heat is too intense for it. What good would common sense for it do? 'Cause it's witchcraft, wicked witchcraft. And although I know it's strictly taboo, when you arouse the need in me, my heart says yes indeed in me. Proceed with what you're leading me to. It's such an ancient pitch, but one I wouldn't switch, 'cause there's no nicer witch than you. perfectly taboo. When you arouse the need in me, my heart says yes indeed in me. Proceed with what you're leading me to. It's such an ancient pitch, but one that I'd never switch. 'Cause there's no nicer witch than you.
Oh God, it's been a while. So there you go. Witchcraft by the chairman of the board, Old Blue Eyes, one of the greatest voices of the 20th century, Frank Sinatra. Um, I hope you enjoyed it. You know, I like to throw them curveballs at you once in a while. Um, I absolutely love some Frank Sinatra. And yeah, I'm gonna rectify my Frank Sinatra buying activities and actually get some legit records from this guy instead of all these cheap greatest hits records or CDs. So there you go, Tony Cool. I hope you liked it. Everybody else who likes this sort of music, I'm glad you liked it. Glad I could help you out. And those of you who don't listen to a lot of this kind of music, check out some Frank Sinatra. He is wonderful. As far the rest of the Rat Pack is great. Check out Tony Bennett, Harry Connick Jr. Those are some other great ones too. All right, I love you, and I will see you next week.